Welcome to my kitchen, everyone. I'm Dr. Haffizulla. You're joining me for another episode of In the Kitchen with Dr. H. Today, I'm so excited. I'm going to take you to my home country, Trinidad. Do you know that Trinidad is considered the street food capital of the Caribbean? You will find food vendors lining our busy streets everywhere. Now, a lot of our dishes in the country can be traced back to cultural influences from India, West Africa, China, and Europe. And of course, we're surrounded by lush waters filled with amazing fish and seafood. So we make the most incredible seafood dishes as well. But today, I'm going to take it back to the streets, making some delicious Pholourie. I'm also going to make a sehena or a spinach fritter and a codfish fritter with a healthy twist. And we're going to dunk those in a spicy pineapple tamarind chutney. Our non-alcoholic drink today, of course, is going to be an iced pineapple ginger tea. Are you hungry yet? Come on, let's get to cooking. Welcome back to my kitchen. This is In the Kitchen with Dr. H, and I'm excited for this episode. We're heading to the streets. We're cooking amazing street food, okay? Not just from my home country, but street food that can be found around the Caribbean in different places. So we're making beautiful spinach fritters or dashing fritters, we call it sehena. We're also going to be making some Pholourie, something I grew up with. My mother actually made this for bake sales. Never lasted actually to get to the bake sales because the teachers all ate them. And then last but certainly not least, we're making some codfish fritters, called by all sorts of names in the Caribbean. So Accra, in some of the Latin countries is bacalaito. I mean, you can just enjoy this with any chutney or dip, okay? So what I'm going to do first, we're going to start with the sehena. With the sehena, we are going to try our best to not fry as many of the fritters as we normally are used to. This time, we're actually going to try to bake it. But to bake it, it needs to have some time to rest and rise a little bit, right? I have some all-purpose flour. I'm going to add some all-purpose flour in. And now, of course, in the Caribbean, at least growing up, my mother never measured anything. She just eyeballed everything, okay? In this case, for our own health and wellness, we want to measure it out and make sure it is where we need it to be. So I'm going to add some of my dry ingredients in. The flour, I have some baking powder right here, some double acting baking powder. I'm going to add in some turmeric, beautiful bright color. It imparts a delicious flavor, but it gives also that deep, gorgeous, dark yellow hue. We're going to add in some ground jeera or ground cumin. That gives it that dark, deep earthiness that we all love in sehena. And I actually, a little secret ingredient, I add a little bit of baking soda to my sehena as well. It actually gives you more bubble action, allows you to have that additional rise. Now we're going to stir those nice dry ingredients together. And I'm going to actually add a little bit of salt at this point, just enough to give it a little bit of flavor. And now we can start to add some of our wet ingredients. I'm going to actually start with I have some spinach that was frozen, squeeze the water out after it was thawed. I'm just going to add that in, right, just like this. And you can either use this, and I'm actually going to combine it with some fresh spinach today too, okay? So this is a basis of the sehena. It's like so healthy and so delicious. You really get your greens. And we're going to add in some fresh chopped spinach that I also have. Any greens that you have, feel free to throw it in, okay? Just chop it up. We're going to add some hot Scotch bonnet peppers. I'm going to add that in. I actually took this, if you want it to be extra spicy, you can keep the seeds in. But this time, decided to tame it a little bit because I am going to be adding in some of my mother's Trinidad hot sauce. So I'm going to add a touch of garlic here, some minced garlic, as much as you'd like. I don't want the garlic to overpower this mixture, so I'm just going to add just a touch of it here. And this is where you can now add in some of your liquids. I'm going to add a little bit of water. And once I add that water, just add it in small increments and continue to stir. Of course, I typically use my hands for this part. You can feel that dough, you can sort of squeeze that dough between your fingers and make sure it is the right consistency, okay? Now you see that that's coming together very nicely. You can I use a spatula here. Spatula helps you to scrape down the sides. It's coming together nicely. This is the kind of consistency that I like to see. If you look at that, you just can gauge how much liquid you'll need to add in. But I like the spatula just because it allows you to really scrape down the sides and not have any dried flour on the sides, right? You're incorporating everything beautifully. Well, I really like how that looks right there, okay? Now some folks add in a little bit of yeast to this as well. We could add a little yeast, but then it'll have to rest, and we can do that because we've got a lot of fritters that we're making today. I'm going to add in a little bit of my favorite that I always add in, green seasoning. That is a combination of shadow beni or the culantro. It has garlic in there, it has some pimento powder in there, has a whole bunch of, you make your green seasoning the way you like, okay? Now if you feel that your mixture is a little sticky and doesn't hold a shape, you can add in a touch more flour. Always keep some extra flour around, okay? For that reason. And just add it in small increments just to make sure it can sort of hold its shape a little bit. So I'm adding in a little bit of flour here. Let's just see how the mixture is a little bit, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Want to see that, just like that. Now you see that beautiful green in there from our spinach. Oh, you could use your dasheen in here. Fresh cut dasheen leaves are amazing in here as well. Okay, now I will add a little bit of yeast to this. The yeast, because I'm adding the yeast into it, we're going to give it a little bit of time to rest and allow it to activate a little bit. I don't add any sugar into this because you already have enough of the liquid. You have some other leavening agents in here that you don't necessarily need it. So let's let that sit and hang out for a minute.
Why is CVS Pharmacy America's choice for vaccinations?
Because we all got the COVID-19 vaccine and flu shot. And I can make the appointment right here.
Save time, schedule online. No wonder CVS Pharmacy is America's choice for vaccinations.
Growing up in Trinidad, when my mother made the Pholourie, she never used split pea flour. She actually used fresh, dry split peas that she soaked. Look at that. She soaked it overnight. Let me tell you, you wash it several times until the water is clear, and these beautiful split peas plump up beautifully overnight. And it's just this flavor, that fresh split pea flavor. You actually put it in a blender. I actually add some seasonings in there too, including my favorite green seasoning and garlic and scotch bonnet and all those things. You blend it down into a paste like I've done over here. And if you use this as your base, your Pholourie is going to be out of this world, okay? But you can use the split pea flour as well. And you can use both. You can use a little bit of split pea flour mixed with regular flour and the paste itself. That actually adds intensity of flavor, and it allows you to actually have amazing fiber nutrients in there, okay? So let us add in some all-purpose flour first. I have this sifted. I'm gonna add in all of this all-purpose flour here. So when we make Pholourie, we usually make them in large batches because boy, does it go fast. And then we're going to add in a little bit of the split pea flour that I have, just as an additional touch since I have it here. You can get this in any West Indian grocery store, but again, I like using the paste. And don't worry if you don't have the split pea flour, because that paste is dynamite, okay? We have a little bit of turmeric that I'm gonna add in. And I'm going to now add in some of the wet ingredients, okay? You can add in some of the paste, but mix this first just a little. Add a little bit of salt. Now all my dry ingredients. Now it's time for the wet ingredients. I'm gonna add in some green seasoning, just enough, just as much as you like. And here we're gonna add in some water to the dough. Once I've added the water into the dough, now it's a good time for me to add in my split pea paste to incorporate some of that into the mixture. Okay, use my spatula to incorporate that. And here is a good spot of time to add in this gorgeous, freshly ground split pea paste. Ah, I wish you could smell this kitchen. As soon as I open that jar, the aromatics, that flavor just hits me. That brought me right back to the bake sales in Trinidad. So it's so funny. The teachers every year would ask me, hey, is your mom making that Pholourie this year? Because that way, you know, in the Caribbean, our bake sales, we don't bring in muffins and cakes. No, we bring in the delicious street foods that we love. So my mother would make this Pholourie, and she would home make the chutney as well. And the teachers would just wait until I'm bringing in this giant cooler, and they would stop me at the door and they said, hold on, we got this from here. Well, they ate all of the Pholourie, never made it to the bake sale. And so she would laugh every year, but boy, did they, oh, let me tell you, that was always a highlight every single year. I will add in a little bit of double acting baking powder into this. Some folks add yeast. I mean, I have some yeast here. I could add a little bit in, because if you choose to air fry this, or if you choose to bake it, then at least you have the ability for it to rise a little bit more, right? We need to add a little bit more water here. You want to make sure that it's more of a paste-like texture. You see that that is happening. Whew, got a little bit of a flour splash there. That's just the fun part of cooking, right? Now listen, we always have music, so if we don't have music in the kitchen, I'm sure the ingredients are the ones dancing in the pot here for us. Now look at that. That is what I want. You see that, how that mixture is? Scrape off get all that delicious goodness back into the bowl. Just like that. And we're gonna let this rest covered for a little bit. And there we have that one hanging out as well.
Special thanks to our sponsors: Aetna CVS Health, American Heritage School.
Ready? We're gonna get some codfish fritters started. Are you excited? All right, now I've had my pot here heating up for a little bit of time, okay? So it's nice and hot. Oh, that's a very hot pot. We're gonna add a little bit of olive oil to this. Olive oil straight in the pan. Now, while that is heating up, let us prepare our other ingredients. So you can use salted cod. Salted cod has a salt bomb. It's so much, it's over 8,000 milligrams of salt. So what you need to boil that, change that water 10 times at least I do that for myself, and keep doing that until the salt level is significantly lower, as much as possible. Once you've done that, you should start to flake it apart. Now this is a pastry blender. This is a fabulous tool actually to keep your cod nice and flaked out before you actually put it into the fritter or prepare it for the fritter, okay? So use this tool. I find that it works very, very well. You know, it's not just for pastries or cutting butter into the pastry itself, but it really gives a beautiful texture to the codfish itself. Now that looks nice and flaky, just the right kind of flake I need. It's already been boiled. So now we're ready to pop in our ingredients right into the pan. And let us add in a couple of different things here. First, we're going to start with some onions. You hear that sizzle? That's what I like. All right. We're going to add some scallions in there. We're going to cook down some of these ingredients beautifully. Okay. You have some garlic over here. Make sure you saute that down until the onions are beautifully translucent. You can actually add in some Scotch bonnet peppers that I have right here. I mean, listen, Scotch bonnet peppers are always a part of the meals that I'm making here in this kitchen. And then, if you have some time, just take it off of the stems, just the thyme leaves themselves, and go straight in there. Add a little bit of pimento powder, dried pimento powder to it, and just saute that. And now you can add in your beautiful flaked cod. Actually, I'm going to add it in with a little bit of the bell peppers. I've chopped up a beautiful red bell pepper. You want to eat your colors, and so this is stunning. And put it together. There we go. Beautiful codfish in here. Now this will need some time to come together. Oh, look at that. Now remember, it's already sort of a salted cod. You can use fresh codfish for this as well too. You want less salt, and you will find that that is still a wonderful flavor. You don't lose any intensity of flavor. You just lower the salt, right? Look how gorgeous that looks. Look at the colors in there. So let that cook down. Cooking beautifully in there. Now sometimes I add a little bit of my Trini hot sauce, depending on how much spice you want in your life. Well, I always want a lot of spice in my life. So I'm going to put a dollop of my nuclear weapon over here. Nice and hot and spicy. Can't be spicy enough. Oh, kitchen smells amazing. Oh, let me tell you. Well, that is just about ready right there. Now, for these, we're going to actually air fry these codfish fritters. So now that this looks nice and ready, that is perfectly done. So we are now going to just add this into a bowl, let it hang out and cool for a minute. You don't want to add any flour or anything to this in this state. So it really needs some time to cool down. So give it a chance to cool down. You don't need to have this one covered. You can just let it hang out. Stay open to the air.
Jack
Hi.
was feeling kinda... So he stopped by the CVS Health Hub,
Welcome.
where our provider ran some tests and realized that he needed help to manage his diabetes.
Whoa.
So we recommended a doctor,
Thanks.
worked with his insurance, and got him on medication. And our care concierge
Me again.
helped him find the right gear.
Sorry.
Experience healthier made easier at a CVS Health Hub near you.
Welcome back, everybody. So we are now going to finish our codfish fritters. For good measure, you know I have to add a little Trini hot sauce to it because I want it to be a little extra spicy. Why not, right? You live once, may as well spice up your life. So I'm going to mix this up very nicely before I add in my dry ingredients. So flour. Actually, you can add the egg in at this point. Now, I would start with 1 egg. You may not need more than 1. I know in the recipe we have 2, but start with 1. It just might be enough to bind everything together, okay? You can mix that in, making sure that yolk is all mixed in with the whites. So now it's the kind of mixture where I can add in my flour. See that? And the spatula works well to kind of keep my mixture cohesive and mixed. So I'm going to add in some all-purpose flour first, okay? And after the all-purpose flour, just gauge exactly how that mixture looks. So we definitely can tolerate some more flour in there, right? I'm actually using a little bit of almond flour in there too. Gives you a little bit more fiber and protein, and increases the health factor of this dish even more. Just a little bit more of that all-purpose flour that was sifted ahead of time. You can mix that together until it's just the right consistency. I want to add in that additional egg if I feel as though this needs some additional help for binding purposes, right? You want it to have a consistency where it's sticky and it would hold together. So only if you feel as though that's necessary. So more flour, a little bit at a time, a little bit more of the almond flour in here. Now, because I'm adding the almond flour in here, you want to make sure that you eat this the same day that you're making it. It tends to taste better that way. It does not release the oils over a long period of time, so it works very well. Oh no, that mixture is just looking just about right. I can add in my other egg, This is how you would take these two eggs all together. Kind of gauge the mixture to make sure you have that sticky texture and that it's going to hold together. We are going to air fry this. We are not going to deep fry this. And this can now tolerate the rest of the flour. Looking at this mixture. Add in some more of my all-purpose flour. So you see, at no point in time I needed water. If it now becomes a little dry from this additional flour, then that is a good opportunity to add in just water. In my mixer, I have some nice warm water. It's not hot. I prefer it to be warm. We're going to infuse the flavors of pineapple and ginger and a little bit of coconut sugar. So I'm going to put some pineapple right in there, just like that. And a little bit of the ginger in there too. Now this is, you can use fresh, I like fresh ginger in here. And I prefer to use coconut sugar or date sugar. In this case, I have both. I'm going to use a little bit of each, a little bit of date sugar in there. What I love about date sugar is it doesn't cause your blood sugars to rise to that very high level as when you use regular sugar. Same with coconut sugar, it's a lot healthier. So now, I'm going to actually use the back of my spoon first to kind of mash this a little bit together, muddle it up, get a little bit of goodness from that pineapple in there and some of the ginger pieces in there. Give it some time to just really sort of meld together. You see that? Mash that pineapple from the bottom. You can use bigger chunks. Now we have some fresh pineapple from the backyard, so we've been using pineapple. We have a plum tree and some lemons, and we have everything out there that we wanted to use for this show today. So I wanted to make sure that we paid homage to it in the right way. So now you're going to put your shaker on the top, put the lid on nicely, nice and secure. Just kind of let it infuse a little bit. You see how beautiful that color is? How rich that color is, right? That is from the coconut sugar and the date sugar combined. It gives that nice deep brown hue at the very bottom. Make sure you have, because now we're not going to be drinking this hot or warm. We're going to drink this a little cold. So prepare a glass with some ice in it and a nice pineapple wedge. And now this is ready to pour out. In a nice glass over here. Pour my drink. Look how stunning that is. Now you can use sparkling water in this too if you choose. But this is so refreshing, so easy. You don't miss any alcohol with this, right? Cheers to you before we check on our fritters. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Now you can freeze this too and make it an icy. Before I put down my sahina, I want to spray my baking sheet with a little olive oil. Okay, now that that's sprayed, our sahina mixture, which has been sitting and waiting out for us a little bit, you can use a spoon, and just spoon bits, little rounded masses right there onto the silicone itself. We can use this to help scoop it and shape it as well. Remember, we are not going to deep fry these. We are literally putting them straight into the oven. Okay, here it is. I'm going to pop it in the oven. We'll keep checking on it. I'll put it actually in the middle rack for now, and then we can switch it over when we need to. Now we're going to look at our Pholourie. Now, listen, I know that nobody wants to air fry their Pholourie, nobody wants to bake their Pholourie, but I do have a special little tool right here. I'm going to show this to you. If you want to bake your Pholourie, you can buy one of these little trays that help you keep the rounded shape, right? Fried without frying it, right? This in there first. Each of the little bubbles get a little spritz. Okay, that's all we need. And we take our ice cream scoop and we're going to scoop it sort of just enough in there. Imagine that. You ever heard of baked Pholourie? Well, look at that. We're going to try our hand at it today. And let us see. Now, I have air fried Pholourie before and it's come out pretty amazing. And it still has that delicious flavor. Listen, who says it can't be exactly one shape or color, right? It's up to you and your family and what works for you, right? This is your health and your life. I want you to be healthy and happy. If you have health, you have true wealth. You can do anything in this life if you have health and you have love around you. And you know what? Love is the most important ingredient, no matter what we are doing. Why are we doing this, right? So look how quickly that's going. Very quickly. Pop it on top. In the oven it goes. And as we put this in, we're going to take the sahina out. There we go. One in, other out. Beautiful baked sahina. Ready for chutney, ready for us to enjoy. Oh my gosh, I wish you could smell the kitchen. We're gonna come right back. Okay, everybody, so we have some Pholourie actually baking in that little bubble mold. We're now going to try to fry a couple of these small ones. I'm using a little small ice cream scoop, slowly just letting it drop in one at a time. And now they sink to the bottom, but then when they're done, they should float up to the top, right? And you see that happening right here. Look at that. There's our Pholourie in action. Oh my goodness, look at that. Don't worry about the shapes. So it takes just about a minute or two on each side or so, a little bit less, just depending. Remember, these had a nice chance to sit down and rest a little bit, so they're able to puff up beautifully. Look at that. So nice. So these look just about ready. I'm going to drain them now. We can have two different ways. Now I know that this is a spaghetti strainer scoop, but I use it anyway. It captures my fried goods very well. And I'm going to take a couple of these and let them sit there, do a little shake to get some of the extra oils out this way, right? And then take it and pop it straight on your paper towels, just like that. Just like that. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. A nice shimmy and a shake. If you have your music on in your kitchen, go ahead, do the shimmy and the shake, right? These are really ready for you. Ah, beautiful. Look at that. You wanna see it's nice and cooked. Oops, one got away from us, but that's all right. We got him. We don't want him to be in the oil for too long. There is a Haitian pickles topping that I absolutely love. Oh, that is also a nice, beautiful base to it. Those are my beautiful codfish fritters. And let us get these gorgeous sahinas onto our serving plate. Look at that. I'm telling you. These are a much healthier version. They are not drenched in oil. Usually, I remember when we would eat sahinas, they were so oily and greasy. However, you just wanted to have one more. This one, feel free to enjoy. No guilt. These are the no guilt sahinas, and they're light, fluffy, beautiful. Oh, just look at that. Just look at that. Are you hungry, everybody? Are you ready to enjoy? Because I can't wait. I'm gonna dunk one of these right in my tamarind chutney and just try one now. I'm trying it for you. So I have my beautiful tamarind chutney over here. And again, this is a mango chutney. I use some green mango with other seasonings in here. And so I am going to grab one of these Pholourie. Let's break it open. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that steaming hot, delicious Pholourie. It is fluffy. It is cooked all the way through. It does not look soggy with oil because we did a healthy fry. And I'm gonna dip this, and forgive me if I can't talk after this because I will be in food heaven. Wow. Oh my God. So good. So good. You just went to Trinidad with me, okay? So come on, stay on this journey with me. Do you think we should now check on the oven, Pholourie? How many of you think it's done? I think it's about done. Let's see. That was our baked version. Let's check it out. I'm gonna pull it out and actually pierce it with a skewer. Just see. This is the oven that was 375. Pierce one of these, and yeah, they seem just about done. Why don't we open up and see what they look like? I'm gonna have to use a spoon here or a little knife to kind of pry it open safely. Oh my gosh. Everybody, take a look at this. Look at that. Stunning! We baked Pholourie! Could you believe it? Oh, and it's the same batter, so you know it tastes amazing. Look at that. Stunning. We are going to take one out just to show you what it looks like. And see. Gorgeous. Just the right size, ready to be dunked in your chutney. Well, listen everybody, I had a fantastic time today. How about you? I am so excited that we were able to make all of these incredible street foods today and a beautiful drink. I can't wait for the next episode to have you join me in the kitchen. I'm wishing you all great health and a long life. Join me next time. Hello everybody, for this Healthy Minute, I'm Dr. Haffizulla. So deep frying foods can actually lead to many negative health effects such as heart disease, obesity, cancer, and much more. If you choose to fry, there are some ways to keep it healthier. Make sure you're using clean oil that's free of any debris, such as extra virgin olive oil. Use a healthier flour option like cassava or split pea flour, and add baking soda that creates bubbles that push that oil out from your food, and ensure you're using the right oil temperature. You can also try a healthier alternative to get that satisfying crispy texture, such as air frying, pan searing, grilling, or dehydrating. Less oil, less calories, and a healthier life. See you next time.